Now, today we are moving on to the third yawn of literature. It is called plays and films. Now, one primary thing which we should know about plays and films is this, that this is that yawn of literature which is not restricted to reading. Poetry and novel, they are written for reading only. If somebody wants to dramatize them, then that person has to rewrite a poem or rewrite a novel into a screenplay. But primarily, plays and films, they are together that genre of literature which are not meant to be read. Rather, they are meant to be watched. They are produced to be watched, or they are written to be turned into a visual representation. So, where do we get a play to watch? We get a play to watch in a theater. And where do we get a film to watch? We get a film to watch in cinema. This is how traditionally it goes. Of course, we can have recordings of a theatrical performance, or we can have recordings of the film which has been released in a cinema. We could have films which have never been released in cinema, right? In that case, there are platforms like Netflix and uh, the Amazon Prime, which or YouTube, which could release the film for the first time. That also is a version of cinema in the sense that that particular platform has the copyrights of that particular film, right? Anyways, the the basic thing is that these two yawns of literature, which are very close to each other, they are not just meant to be read, rather they are also meant to be watched, and mainly they are meant to be watched. Now, the components of drama and film, they are in many ways shared. Okay, there are some differences as well, which we will see later on. Let's focus on drama first. So these are the components of drama: a character, the plot, narration, dialogue, stage directions, acts, scenes, and shots. Now, all dramas are based upon one character or the other. And characters have their types too. We have discussed that with reference to narrative as well. The characters sometimes in certain dramas, they become so famous that those dramas are known because of those characters. I'm sure most of you are aware of Macbeth or Hamlet. Both of them are the main characters of two plays written by William Shakespeare. Plot. The definition of the plot in drama is same as definition of plot in a narrative or in a fiction. Plot is sequence of the events in a story. There is narration in drama as well, although that narration is a little different from the narration in a novel. What is the difference? The narration in a novel takes place, the narration in a play takes place through dialogues. So you might recall when we were discussing novel or fiction, I referred to the fact that the person who tells the story is called a narrator. The narrator could be the character in that novel or story as well. Or narrator could be some, third person individual too, who narrates the whole story without participating in the whole story. But there is a narrator who tells the story, who introduces to us the characters, who describes them. So when we read the story, we read it as narrated by that narrator. This is about novel. But in drama, things are a little different. Over here, the narration takes place through dialogues. What does that mean? That means in the whole play, most of the times, the characters just keep speaking to each other. And we as audience listen to those conversations among the characters. And we develop the understanding of the plot of the whole play just through the dialogues which are being spoken among the characters. It is not very difficult to uh, think of an example for what I'm saying right now. Almost you all watch TV dramas, and you have very clearly observed that when you are watching any particular drama, you just see the characters as being displayed to you through the eye of the camera. The camera is recording them. Nobody is standing over there telling you that this is this person's name and this is this person's name and this is what this person is going to do. Rather, you see right in front of you the action taking place. And in that action, characters are talking to each other. And when they talk to each other, they name each other. And you get to know what they are about. When they talk to each other, they discuss, or they mention the problems which they are trying to handle, right? So from the beginning till the end, most of the drama is presented to you through the dialogues which are taking place among the characters, and that is how the narration takes place. Okay, there is no narrator in a drama as such, and that is a major distinction between a drama and a piece of fiction. Now, stage directions, as the name shows, do not exist in novel. Stage directions exist only in a play. What are they there for? They are there to introduce to us the setting of the play. In the case of a novel, it is the narrator's job to introduce to us what kind of setting is there in which all the action is happening. Sometimes the narrator will describe to us the setting of a city, sometimes setting of a church, sometimes setting of a field, sometimes a setting of a court, sometimes it is setting of a home, a domestic setting, sometimes it is a street, might be a railway station, might be a ship, so on and so forth. But narrator will describe that to us. There is no narrator in a drama. So who will then describe to us the setting? It is the stage directions. So stage directions are written by the writer of the play, right? But they are written in such a manner that no character in the play as such describes them, or no narrator in the play describes them as such. I'll give you some example for stage direction in a minute. Another point of distinction for a play is that a drama or a play is divided into acts, scenes, and shorts. A novel is not divided like that. Novels do have chapters, especially the Victorian novels, right? They might have parts too, especially the Victorian novels or the Russian novels, which are big. But they do not have acts or scenes and shorts. Acts and scenes only exist in drama. Act is the biggest division in a drama. So a play might have 5 acts. Scene is second in size. So one act in a particular drama might have 5 scenes in it, or 4 scenes in it. Short is the shortest in terms of duration uh, piece of drama, or shortest segment of a drama. Well, shorts usually exist in films. That is one thing that I must say. They usually exist in film, right? So this shortest interval, or this a segment of shortest duration in film is called one shot. Technically, a short is that part of film which has been recorded in one interval or in one setting. So we don't see shorts in drama as such, not in the stage drama, but we do come across shorts in a film. Okay, now forms of drama. There are some types of drama. The first one is called a dramatic monologue. The word monologue shows that it is a speech by one person, a single character. One very famous dramatic monologue is by Robert Browning. The title of that monologue is My Last Touches. The other kind of drama is called closet drama. Basically, a closet drama is not meant for stage, and it is a rare exception, this kind of drama. So John Milton's Samson Agonize is one example. The next kind is called verse play. The play is written in poetic form. Almost all Shakespeare's work is verse plays. In classics, Shakespeare is the example of verse play. But this is just an example. There are all the classic plays are in poetic form. Tony Harrison, on the other hand, is a pretty recent example of a writer who still writes in poetic form. Prose plays, we should know, are recent phenomenon. These days, plays are written in prose. So there are many examples of prose plays. I mean, most of the plays are written in prose now. Now, something about dialogue and stage directions. Now, the plot of the story, as I already mentioned, develops through the dialogue. Similarly, the background of the plot is also described through the dialogue. Why this piece of information is important? It is important to elaborate the same point I already mentioned on slide 3, which is that the narrators do not exist in a drama. Therefore, not only the plot develops in a drama through the dialogue among characters, but also if any background information is needed for understanding the drama, that background information also comes through the conversation among characters. So you would see sometimes the characters talking to each other, describing something in past which has happened even before the drama. And purpose of putting that dialogue in the drama is to make the audience aware of what happened before the film starts or what happened before the drama starts. So there is no narrator as such. So if we want to know any example of play, Tennessee Williams' A Street Named Desire is a play in which the story develops through dialogue, but then right in the beginning of the play, we are given background information through the dialogue among the characters. Another piece of information that is important is related to stage directions. We discussed it once on a previous slide, but over here, there is a particular characteristic of stage direction that we should know. So the early modern plays had very little directions. Very little directions about the props, about the scenery, or about the lights, etc. But modern plays, on the other hand, they have very elaborate description and stage directions. Now, here is one example of elaborate stage direction. So the scene one starts from here, you know, Tennessee Williams stage, the streetcar named Desire. And as you see, the stage directions start from here and they continue to 3 paragraphs. And after that, if you look over here, for example, second paragraph, it says, it is first dark of an evening early in May. What do we get just from this one line? The writer is giving to us the time of the action of the play. Right? So this is stage direction. You might recall I said on a previous slide that stage direction is there to give to us the setting in which the action takes place. So all these 3 paragraphs are just giving us the setting, starting from the first line, the exterior of a 2-story corner building on a street in New Orleans, which is named Elysian Fields and runs between the L&N tracks and the river. The section is poor, but unlike corresponding section in other American cities, it has a raffish charm. So look at it, so much description is being given to us through the stage direction. So this is an example of elaborate stage directions. You won't see this kind of stage direction in classical plays. Okay. If there is any narration in the play as well, what kind of narration is there? The only kind of narration that we find in a play is through the images. One example of that is Shakespeare's Macbeth, in which we find the images of owls. Now, owls have a certain imagistic meaning, and that meaning is foreboding of something evil. You might be aware of the word omen, O-M-E-N, omen. Omen is a sign which anticipates a bad future. Owl in British culture, English culture, is considered to be a symbol of something bad which is going to happen in near future. When we read the play Macbeth, there is a certain scene in the play which is called murder scene. The King of Scotland is murdered in that particular scene. And he is murdered by Macbeth, who is the main character in the play. So the night when Macbeth kills King, on that night, the play describes to us, on that night, there were many owls shrieking through the dark night. So through those owls, or through those images, the writer was conveying to us, a sense of fear, which was in that particular scene. So if there has to be any narration, that narration takes place through images, but not with the help of a narrator. On the other hand, the narration in a film, that takes place through camera. Now, this is something different as compared to a play. So basically, what we watch in a film is being shown to us not by the people who are on the screen. Rather, we watch what is shown to us by what the camera recorded. So we are really looking at the view of the camera as the camera recorded it. So you must be aware of those unusual scenes where a Superman, jumps from a 100-story building, right? And survives. We know that scene doesn't actually take place, right? Still, we believe it happened. Okay? Still, we glue our eyes on the screen and we keep watching it. What does that mean? That means the reality is not the character that we are watching on the screen. Rather, the reality is the recording that camera undertook. So we are really agreeing with what is given to us through the camera. We see is the point of view of the camera. So it depends on how the camera records a scene. It depends on that how we view a particular scene. Right. Now, on this slide, we understand, a few things. Number one, in the case of a play or in the case of a drama, the narration takes place through images. But in the case of a film, the narration takes place through camera. There are no narrators in both cases. The last 2 points over here. So in the case of a drama, what we see is point of view of the characters. But in the case of a film, what we see is point of view of the camera. The last point. Reading and seeing, they are kind of interdependent when it comes to a film and when it comes to a drama. So remember that even if we appear to enjoy watching a film more and we appear to be enjoying watching a drama more, we should kind of tell ourselves as students of literature that just watching for entertainment, that might not be the real intention. The real intention is to be able to read what we see. So in the case of film or drama, as students of literature, of course, we also get entertainment out of whatever we are watching, but that is not our purpose to get entertained. Our purpose is to be able to analyze what we are watching. So seeing is like reading. So as far as the text is concerned, it is like we are visualizing the text. And if we have the visuals in front of us, then it is like we are turning that visual into a text. We are able to verbalize that. We are able to describe in words what is the meaning of those visuals. By visual, I mean a film or a drama. So when you read a text, for example, a novel, you kind of imagine what happened in it, right? But when you watch a film or a drama, you don't need to imagine because everything is right in front of you. So what you are supposed to do, you are supposed to then convert what you watch into a text. You should be able to describe that in language. What is the meaning of all that? And that is a little challenging. That is not as simple as it appears to be. Anyways, this is the end of the class today, students.